Hi there, my name is Dr. Victoria Parikh, and I'm the director for the Stanford Center for Inherited Cardiovascular Disease and HCMA Center of Excellence. I want to thank the HCMA for their sponsorship and organization of this fantastic Awareness Day. We're really excited to be here. So I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about who we are and what we do at the Stanford Center for Inherited Cardiovascular Disease. We are a group of physicians, nurses, and genetic counselors who specialize in the care of families with genetic heart disease, including hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, for which we care in our Stanford HCM Center. The physicians, genetic counselors, and nurses that are pictured on the right make up the leadership of our Stanford HCM Center. I am the director of the Center for Inherited Cardiovascular Disease. Ewan Ashley is our founding director, and Matthew Wheeler and Kareem Salam are also both cardiomyopathy specialists that see patients in our HCM Center. In addition to our cardiomyopathy specialist shown at the top here, we have Marco Perez, who is an electrophysiologist specializing in the care of patients in particular with HCM, including atrial fibrillation and the need for implantable defibrillators. And then Will Hiesinger is our fantastic myectomy surgeon. He is super skilled and has a wonderful bedside manner and does a high number of myectomies and mitral valve surgeries for HCM patients every year. We also have Julia Platt here. She is our lead genetic counselor. We have the largest team of cardiovascular genetic counselors in the world. Julia leads them to provide not only genetic diagnosis, but also significant and important education to our patients around the diseases that run in their families. And then pictured over here on the right is our fantastic program operations lead, Heidi Salisbury. She is an advanced practice nurse with more than a decade of experience in caring for patients with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy and other familial cardiovascular diseases, and really does an amazing job in patient advocacy, education, and the operations of our clinic running smoothly. Over here on the left, I'm picturing our website. This is a little bit of an old picture, but this family, the Jacques family, really epitomizes what we do in our HCM Center. We are really focused on caring for families from a multidisciplinary perspective that includes genetics, as well as the care of their hearts. We've had the privilege of caring for this family for many years, over multiple generations, and they have even given us the opportunity to help them identify the genetic cause of their disease, which had never been reported before. So with that, I'd like to talk about the power of genetics and hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Here you can see an example of what we call a kindred or a family tree. At the top, you see the grandmother and grandfather. Men are in, or rather male patients are in squares and female patients are in circles. You can see that one of their daughters was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Now, because hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a genetic disease, we know that this patient's first-degree relatives, meaning her parents, her siblings, and her kids, are at 50% risk of inheriting a genetic variant that could lead to hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and that their next generation, or two steps removed from this patient, are at 25% risk of inheriting a genetic variant that might actually cause HCM. So what we want is to be able to detect HCM early in these family members, but also to resolve uncertainty that they might carry about their risk of developing hypertrophic cardiomyopathy later in their lives. We can do this with genetic testing when we can find a genetic variant in an HCM patient. For this patient, we were able to find a variant, and that allowed us to actually identify her first-degree relatives who carried that variant and absolve those that didn't, as well as their children, of lifelong testing and uncertainty about their diagnosis. So genetic testing can be a really powerful tool in caring for families with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. We also recognize that living with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is challenging, not just from a symptom perspective, but from the perspective of uncertainty and understanding one's disease. It takes a lot of courage, and it also takes a lot of support from your community. At Stanford Center for Inherited Cardiovascular Disease, we work closely with staff psychologists who can be extraordinarily helpful both in dealing with diagnosis in patients and family members of HCM, as well as guiding patients through how to make make big decisions around whether or not it's time to implant an ICD or defibrillator, as well as surgical planning. And then lastly, and I think this is super powerful, we have some really amazing patients, just like members of the HCMA, who are really invested in their HCM community and provide peer-to-peer mentorship. In fact, we've developed a Stanford cardiomyopathy patient support group. It meets virtually on the first Monday of the month at 6 p.m. If you're interested in being involved, it's a great experience. We have a brief lecture from a guest speaker, and then breakout sessions for dilated and hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. If you'd like to attend one of these support groups, you can use the QR code that's depicted here or email familyheart@stanford.edu. On the clinical side of things, we recognize that cardiac myosin inhibitors were coming down the pipeline for hypertrophic cardiomyopathy patients years before they were approved by the FDA, and we were ready to make this a possibility for treatment for our patients with obstructive hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. This was a program that was led by Heidi Salisbury, our fantastic program operations lead. She made sure by the time that the first cardiac myosin inhibitor was approved by the FDA that our patients would have access to it. And we do this via a really invested medical team, including patient flow coordinators, patient care coordinators, nurses, and echocardiographers, all the way up through the MDs, who have a routine not only for identifying patients who are candidates for these medications, to helping them get the prior authorization needed from their insurance companies, and then pushing them through the pathway that includes echocardiograms to monitor their progress and dose adjustment. We've enrolled over 60 patients on cardiac myosin inhibitors, and we're seeing really great results. We have a quote from one of our patients here: "Tears come to me often these days. I feel like I've been given such a gift and that life is just beginning. This is definitely a game changer for so many. I look forward to doing all the things I've missed for so long. Thank you and the team for being by my side." And that's what we want to do at our center, is be by the side of our patients with HCM. In that vein, we always encourage safe exercise for our patients with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. We believe that exercise is the best drug for a long and happy life, as long as it's done in a safe way. Mild to moderate intensity exercise, we know, is very safe for patients with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, as long as it's done under the supervision and guidance of a physician who specializes in HCM care. We at Stanford have a cardiopulmonary exercise lab that we direct that can help our patients learn how to exercise safely and effectively with HCM. We have every year a fun run and a 5K. You can see the picture of that at the top of the slide, where we raise funds for patients with patients and families with HCM. We hope that you'll join us. You can find more information at myheartcountsrun.org. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for your time and for the opportunity to be here. Thank you again to Lisa and all of the organizers of this amazing Patient Awareness Day. Thank you so much.